Hey guys, it's Daz, and I'm bringing you the promised herbalism video, and I will continue to do these profession videos, try and get one for every profession. This one is obviously, like I said, on herbalism, and it has a little bit of the alchemy at the end, but they kind of go hand in hand because what alchemy needs is what you're going to be picking mostly. They're brother and sister professions, so you kind of need to know a little bit about alchemy. I will cover alchemy more specifically in a future video. You're going to want to check that one out too if you do a lot of herbalism. So just stick around on my channel for that. Herbalism is pretty much my favorite gathering profession. It seems to always be the most profitable for me, and it's just a lot of fun. I think a lot more. You get fun little things in with it, and it's just kind of relaxing. Mining, I don't know why, it's just not as relaxing. But yeah, this is in Twilight Highlands. Don't worry about the footage though. Starting off, there are a lot of herbs this time around, so here we go with Cinderbloom right away. Cinderbloom is used in, I think, the most recipes in alchemy, so you'll be using a lot of that. I think it's like 14 or something. And just follow this path. It looks kind of twisty, but it works out. I got about 6 stacks in 20 minutes on this path. The thing about this, though, is that there are a few, maybe like 5 or 6 Stormvine nodes that seem to eat the Cinderbloom nodes that they spawn over. And I don't know what that's all about. I think it's the ones that are by the water mostly, but sometimes I found one like up in the mountains, and I thought the Stormvine was some kind of like water-only herb, kind of like a Jar's Veil, but I just seems like I lose some Cinderbloom to Stormvine, and Stormvine's not really that useful, so I don't cover it. I don't cover Heart Blossom either. I'll tell you why later. A Jar's Veil. Now this is probably going to end up being the new Lich Bloom as of, like, you know, the real expensive herb. It's very hard to get. It's very rare. It's very spread out over all of Vashir. It's spread out across the 3 subzones, and even the groups of nodes are spread out across the zones. It's kind of stupid. And even more so, when I talked about Stormvine eating some Cinderbloom nodes, Stormvine shares spawn locations with Azhar's Veil in Vashir. Every single spot that can spawn Azhar's Veil can also spawn Stormvine. So you will be looking for long and hard for a good amount of Vashir's Veil. My advice, grab as much of that as possible anytime you can. Head over to Vashir and just run around on your seahorse and grab as much as you can. And I think that's the reason they knew that was kind of annoying. So that's one of the reasons you have the seahorse, other than, you know, obviously you need a mount for underwater that's faster. But Whiptail is another kind of annoying one. I couldn't really find a whole lot of it in any other zone, and I don't even know if it's in any other zone. I'm sure it is. I didn't really look. But Whiptail is found in great density along the oasis parts of Oldham, pretty much. And anywhere there's water and immediately around that area, there is a huge density of Whiptail. You can find a whole bunch of it, more than you're gonna need. And that path is pretty. It looks kind of small, but it's pretty long when you're going around it. So it'll usually respawn by the time you get back around. And Twilight Jasmine. Twilight Jasmine's going to be the new Ice Thorn, I think. It's very common in Twilight Highlands. And quick note on this path: you should be zigzagging in like wide arcs back and forth around this path because it's really all over the area. I just couldn't get, you know, a giant red splotch on the map. So just zigzag around on that path and you should be good. I've spent the most time on Twilight Jasmine trying to get a lot of nodes, because there are a ton of nodes in there. And they seem to drop a lot of life, volatile life, which is what you're going to need for pretty much everything. I'll explain about that later too. And yeah, that's the Twilight Jasmine path. If you have mining too, you can get a lot of mining stuff while you get Twilight Jasmine. It's very useful. I didn't cover Heart Blossom because pretty much all you have to do to get Heart Blossom is to walk around like a moron in Deepholm, and you will find Heart Blossom. There's no real path. It covers the zone. The nodes just are all over the freaking zone, and I couldn't really get there to get a map going because I didn't want to just tell you to go somewhere and just make up a path, but literally just fly around the zone and you'll find it. It's not really that big of a deal. What you can do with these herbs: obviously you can straight sell them, you can use them in inscription, which I will cover in a different video, or you could use them for alchemy, and obviously most people are going to use them for flask and things like that. Do not dismiss the merits of the other potions. There are a lot of cool elixirs that increase, a certain stat by, 12 billion for 30 seconds or whatever it is. There are a lot of those now. There are cool potions that like increase your loot drops in certain areas, or there's one that teleports you back to Deepholm. I don't know if there's one that teleports you to all the zones, but I know there is one that teleports you to Deepholm. Trying to think. There's a thing called Drought of War, which is like a potion, a mana potion and a health potion in the same thing, but it can only be used in non-rated battlegrounds. It's kind of cool. It does give you a special potion for battlegrounds, and it does more than a normal potion. So you get a lot of these little potions that seem like they would be cool novelty things that everybody just buy. There's one that turns you into like a random race and with random gear and all that, so it completely changes what you look like for 2 minutes. There's a lot of cool stuff. I think alchemy got a lot of love in this expansion, and I'm really liking alchemy so far. Oh, and before I forget, this is a recent hotfix. The Vial of the Sands, I think it's called, the thing that turns you into the Sandstone Drake. They changed that to be Bind on Equip. So now you have the option to make and sell those as an alchemist. But of course, your biggest income and most steady income is obviously going to be flask. And this time around they have a lot of flasks. And they usually just increase a base stat. Let me show you what I mean. Draconic Mind. Draconic Mind is obviously the caster flask for the expansion. See how it only increases your intellect by 300 though. Now that's with all the flask, and your big stats are usually increased by flask now. Flowing Water increases your spirit. This is really good. Everyone's saying this is awesome for priests. It's like apparently like a priest wet dream. I don't play a priest, but this is much better than the crappy MP5 flask we had the last expansion. I'm sure more people will buy it. Steel Skin, stamina by 300, great flask. Useful for a lot of reasons, not just doesn't just increase your armor or something like that. It's just your stamina. Obviously tanks and special occasions, other people will use them. Titanic Strength, your strength classes. Feral Druids maybe? I don't know how they work anymore. I'm sorry. Death Knights, Warriors, obviously all that. And then they got a whole new one here, and this is a real special one. I think this one might be good for Feral Druids too. This is Flask of the Winds. Now that one's rogues obviously, and hunters I think clearly, and like I said, I don't know if feral druids prefer agility or strength. I would think strength. I think it's still 2 attack power per strength. I'm not really sure. But those are your flasks. You want to stock up. I'm going to give you my advice here. You want to stock up on you know how everybody plays the class. It's going to be Titanic Strength probably is going to be the tops, followed immediately by Draconic Mind, and then Flask of the Winds. And then the other 2 you can get sparingly, of course, tanks, and there's always going to need tanks for every group, so you're definitely going to want that. And then lastly, probably the spirit one, because I don't know how good it is for all the other healing classes, but like I said, people say it's like the priest wet dream. Other than that, guys, like I said, keep an eye on your fun little potions. They can be useful. I suggest you go look them up on Wowhead. Pretty much everything used in alchemy is just cool now. So, mostly flasks, and obviously you can always sell the raw herbs. And I will be covering inscription in a future video, which also uses the herbs, so keep an eye on my channel. I will be doing the rest of the professions, and I will see you guys in the next video.